Hey there, this is your girl Candace Duff coming at you all the way live from sunny South Florida. And today I'm going to show you how you can get 150 grams of protein with only 1,800 calories while eating a vegan diet. Think I can't do it? Watch me. So today's goal is to get 150 grams of protein with only 1,800 calories on a whole food, plant-based diet. That's right, a whole foods, plant-based diet. And I'm gonna do it without soy. Think I can't do it? Watch me. So here are the ingredients that we're gonna use for our tofu wraps. They're basically gonna be our tofu scramble wraps. So we're gonna be using Mission Carb Balanced tortillas, organic potatoes, they're going in the wraps. For our protein, we're going to be using this soy-free tofu. I promised you that there will be no soy in this meal prep, and I was dead serious. So we're using this soy-free tofu from Big Mountain Foods. There are 64 grams of protein in this package alone, and we're going to be using that in our tortillas. And as you can see, for each serving, you get 16 grams of protein. Pretty amazing, huh? Each quarter package. We're also going to be using Anthony's Nutritional Yeast Flakes. We're going to be using for our seasonings, chili powder. Here's the chili powder. Paprika. And just because I have it, we're going to be using some of this Kinder's Wood Fire garlic seasoning. I got it from Costco's and it's fire. And also some ground turmeric. Oh, and I almost forgot. I need to put black pepper in the tofu scramble along with the turmeric because the black pepper activates the turmeric. We'll also be using a vegan nacho cheese sauce made out of these ingredients. I will put the recipe or link to the recipe in the description below. All right, so these are the ingredients we're going to be using in our easy vegan chili recipe. There's some ingredients that are typical and there are some seasonings that are not typical. So the typical ingredients include diced tomatoes, fire roasted, crushed tomatoes, and we're going to be using low sodium vegetable broth. I try to use no salt added and low sodium ingredients when I can because I like to control the amount of sodium in my dishes. We're going to be using some seasonings that I don't normally use in chili. For example, we're not using any chili powder. We're using cayenne pepper, cumin, oregano, and an ancho chili pepper. I've never used those seasonings in chili before, so this should be quite interesting. We're also going to be using a variety of beans. We're going to be using pinto beans, black beans, and dark red kidney beans. And of course the vegetables, carrots, celery, bell peppers, and onion. Okay, so our next entree is going to be a lunch entree, and it's going to be a Greek-inspired pasta salad. This Greek-inspired pasta salad was inspired by a fantastic high-protein vegan meal prep on the Vegan Gems channel. I'm going to put a link down below to the Vegan Gems meal prep video so you can see it for yourself. So in this pasta salad, our base is going to be baby arugula. The pasta is going to be brahmi pasta, and this is made with lupini beans, and this gives you 12 grams of protein per serving. We're going to have English cucumbers. I like these a lot. English cucumbers. Grape tomatoes, red onion, and another protein bomb we're going to be using is organic lentil beans. And we're going to put balsamic dressing on this. Now, this salad alone will give you 24 or 25 grams of protein. But we're going to add additional protein by adding a tofu feta recipe. So I'm going to be making this tofu feta recipe, which gives you 10 grams additional protein per serving, and you get 10 servings in this recipe. 8 or 10, I can't remember. It's going to be based on this Big Mountain soy-free tofu. It is also going to contain white miso, lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, apple cider vinegar, nutritional yeast, and a variety of seasonings including onion powder, crushed red pepper, paprika, oregano, black pepper, and Himalayan salt. So it's going to be very tasty. We're going to be marinating the tofu in the feta, and this feta will last in the refrigerator for 7 days. We're gonna make 4 days worth of salads because I don't want to make more than that because I don't want the lettuce to wilt. And we're gonna put them into mason jars and pack them correctly so that they last longer. And each should last easily 4 days in the fridge. You're gonna watch me put these together. Now that I have all my ingredients out and in place, I'm gonna go ahead and get my mise en place on. And most of you probably know mise en place means just having everything in place and ready to cook. That helps me to keep this meal prep down to under an hour or to an hour. I'm gonna chop up my vegetables and make sure they're ready for me. I'm gonna go ahead and take out the amounts of garlic I need for everything and go ahead and use the microplane for that. I'm gonna wash off all these cans and get some of them open for the appropriate times. And I'm going to do the thing that's gonna take the longest, and that's putting the potatoes that go with the wraps, these potatoes here, in the oven. So I'm gonna put them in the oven. I'm gonna wash them, chop them up, put them onto a baking sheet with some spray, and I'm gonna use salt, pepper, and paprika. That's pretty much what I like on my potatoes. And I'm gonna go ahead and put those in the oven at 400 degrees for like, I don't know, 30 minutes. I'm gonna chop them up fairly small so they shouldn't take longer than that. Just keep checking until they're done and not overdone because you don't want overdone potatoes in your wraps, okay? So I actually was chopping for about 10 minutes before I remembered that I had a vegetable chopper. Obviously, the chopping went much faster after that. But I find chopping vegetables almost meditative. And I like to chop my vegetables before I start cooking because it makes cooking that much easier to do. So, you see here I'm chopping all the vegetables that I need for the chili and for the tofu wrap and for the salad. So here I am prepping the potatoes. I'm seasoning them up first prior to putting them in the oven. And you can see I have the sheet pan lined with foil. I'm adding paprika to them right now. And I guess I couldn't see that you couldn't see the paprika camera when I showed you there. I'm also adding salt. And I use Redmond's real salt for these potatoes. It's one of my preferred salts. I might start using an iodized salt though, because I realized that by cutting out iodized salt from my diet or whatever, I'm not getting enough iodine. And sometimes I crave salty things, and sometimes I think that might be my body telling me that I'm lacking iodine. So here I'm making sure that the seasoning gets onto the potatoes, and I'm spreading them out onto the baking sheet. And I like to put them peel side up so that they bake properly and they don't burn on the top. As you can see, I preheated the oven for 400 and I'm making sure the timer is set for 30 minutes. It turned out that these potatoes needed to bake for at least 45 to 50 minutes, even though I cut them smaller. So I ended up putting them back in for another 15 minutes after this. So here I am water sauteing the peppers and the onions for the chili recipe. I don't really have a problem with using olive oil, and I wouldn't have minded throwing a tablespoon of that in there. I find that it's easier to saute with it, but this is a no-oil recipe that I got, and I'm going to be putting the link to the recipe in the description box below. But here I'm water sauteing it because I'm following the recipe. And now I'm getting ready to add in the carrots that I chopped up for this. This recipe has carrots in it. And it says to add them afterwards. I was supposed to add more water at this time, and I actually had added it sooner. And I'm over here scraping in or using a microplane for the garlic. And this recipe calls for 3 or 4 pieces of garlic, and I have some big garlic cloves that I was using. But it turned out to be the right amount of garlic. Like the recipe wasn't, I didn't even taste garlic when I finally got done with all the seasonings and the spices. So it was probably just the right amount of garlic. It was kind of fun to cook this chili. It had some moving parts to it. It kept me on my feet. It kept me engaged. And cooking, I find to be rather relaxing. Not everybody does. But this whole meal prep didn't take me like all day. It took me about, well, because I was filming, it took me a little under 2 hours. And it's certainly possible for you to do this in a shorter time period if you're not filming and having to film each step or whatever. Because that definitely takes additional time. You know, positioning the camera, making sure that people can see what it is you're trying to show them, doing retakes when necessary. So there's definitely some lag time in connection with filming. Here I'm adding the spices that are required for this chili, and that includes the ancho chili powder that you saw and all the other spices that I had in the ingredients section of the video. And I'm stirring in the spices to make sure that they also saute before I put in the remainder of the ingredients. I'm making sure that spices are evenly distributed throughout the pot. And here I was adjusting the camera so that you could see the pot spinning around the stove since I'm doing this one-handed, but more spices. Here I'm checking on the potatoes and I realized that they need more time, so I put them on for another 15 minutes. That is hot. Seasoning is pretty spot on, but I think I could use a little tiny bit more salt. And since I rarely use salt by itself, I'm gonna try some of this. Goyo adobo. Just give it a little something more. I went shy on the chili powder because I don't like really hot dishes. So instead of putting in the 4 tablespoons of ancho chili powder, I only put 2. I can taste it. It tastes pretty good, actually. But now I'm kind of rethinking that. I might actually add a tiny bit more of the ancho chili powder. Oops. Unfortunately, mine is a little lumpy. So I'm really gonna have to stir to make sure that gets distributed properly. Bobby Flay says ancho chili tastes like a sweet, spicy raisin. And he's right about that. There's a bit of a raisiny type taste. I mean, not really, but like in the background of your mouth. You can't even taste raisin. But it's not like a hot heat like some of the other chilies that you could use. This chili also has cayenne pepper. And I put fire roasted tomatoes in here as well. So not all the tomatoes were fire roasted, but I put at least 1 can of fire roasted tomatoes. All right, so now I'm supposed to let this cook for another 6 to 7 minutes. So let's set the timer so I don't forget for 6 minutes. And while we're at it, it's supposed to be uncovered. Let's check on these potatoes. Oh yeah. These bad boys are done. So I'm gonna use this clean kitchen towel, and get them out. And let them cool. Turn the oven off. But the timer's still on. Okay. So in about 5 minutes, this chili will be done. Okay, so now the chili is cooling off, or it's done at least. And I forgot to add the beef to the chili. And I'm kind of glad I didn't because I didn't want to overcook it. So what I'm going to do is cook it separately and add it into the chili. Now this is a product called Abbott's Butcher ground beef, plant-based ground beef. Obviously it's not real ground beef, it's plant-based. It's Whole30 approved. It's non-GMO, and it's definitely vegan. You can see here that the ingredients are fairly clean. It's made out of filtered water, pea protein, and then you have tomato paste, extra virgin olive oil, porcini mushrooms, sea salt, onion powder, apple cider vinegar, balsamic vinegar, garlic powder, blah, blah, blah. So basically spices, water, and pea protein. It's a pretty clean product, which is why I like it. Unlike some of the other vegan products that we've seen. And it gives you 18 grams of protein in each serving, and there are 3 servings in this box. So we're gonna go ahead and put this 54 grams of protein into our vegan chili to bump up the protein count. And that the chili alone will give you 24 grams of protein in each of the 6 servings. But if you want to bump it up to 32 grams of protein per serving, we're going to go ahead and add this. All right. So let me go ahead and cook it off according to the package instructions and add it to the chili. Okay, they say to cook this to an internal temperature of 160. So they're really treating it like meat. All right. I'd say I'm over. All right, so what I'm gonna do is put this into the pot with the chili and mix it around like I'm supposed to. to make sure that I set a timer for everything, to make sure that each serving gets some. But don't worry about if it's not evenly distributed exactly, because you're going to be eating all these different servings of chili at some point. So over time, you will get your allotted grams of protein. But I'm just doing the best I can to make sure that the meat, quote unquote, is evenly distributed. Now let's see how it tastes with this meat. Does it make a difference? And it's funny calling vegan meat, but you know, what can I tell you? Okay, I'm pretty sure there's some meat in there. Let me try this. I gotta say, it's pretty beefy. That is some serious chili there. Serious chili. Now, if you don't want to use the meat, the Abbott's Butcher beef or whatever, you could opt to do something else. You could, for example, decide to use a protein pasta, like a lentil pasta like Banza, or something like this, which is called Brahmi penne. And this here has 12 grams of protein per serving, and it's 4 servings in a container. Or if you have a larger serving, just like the other pasta, you can get up to 21 grams. So what you can do is turn this into a whole wheat chili mac, but it wouldn't be a whole wheat chili mac. That's what they used to call it when I was on Weight Watchers. By cooking maybe a serving of this pasta and throwing it in with your serving of chili, and just serving that together, and maybe with a vegetable on the side or whatever. So you can bump up your protein without using Abbott's Butcher meat by, you know, plant-based meat, by throwing in something like this. Or you can increase your portion size. I mean, you have options, right? Or you can decide you only want 24 grams of protein. It's really your business. But if you want 30-something grams of protein from this meal, and this pot can be divided up into 6 meals, throw in some of this pasta, or throw in the Abbott's Butcher, just like I did, you know, the plant-based beef with pretty clean ingredients. It's up to you. Or you can do both if you want to really bump up the protein, right? Okay. Okay, I lost the footage, but basically I put all of the chili into a big bowl. It was overflowing. And I weighed it on this scale. And it came up to, it showed me that each serving of chili was 1 pound, 1.5 ounces. So, and that I figured out that 2 servings of chili fit in each one of these containers that I have. So what I'm gonna do is put 2 of these in the refrigerator for me to eat over the next 4 days. And this one I'm actually gonna freeze so that I can have meal prep for another day. And I'll have 2 servings of chili in the freezer. And you'll find when you cook these big 1-pot meals that you'll have extra servings, or you may have extra servings, that you can actually save for days that you don't want to cook. Okay, so now we're gonna make the tofu scramble that's gonna go into our breakfast burrito. So I'm starting out with a couple of quick sprays of the Chosen avocado oil spray. I get these from Costco. They come 2 in a pack, and they last me a long time because I don't use a lot of them. And what I'm doing here, you saw me do it in the last video, is breaking the tofu up into smaller pieces so that it more closely resembles the scramble. Now this tofu scramble is slightly different from the last one in terms of the seasonings. And what I'm going to do is put those seasonings, the recipe that I'm using here, and the specific seasonings in the description below. So you're going to see the recipe for this. And this is going into the breakfast burrito with some potatoes and with a vegan nacho cheese sauce that I put together using cashews. Now, if you have a nut allergy, or you just don't like cashews or whatever, or don't like cashew-based sauces, there's another vegan nacho cheese sauce made by I think it's High Carb Hannah or one of those type people, made of lima beans and potatoes, I believe, or something. So it's made of more whole foods, not cashews per se, not a nut, but nothing that will give you allergies. And I'll leave a link to that sauce as well. I like to put a little bit of sauce in with the potatoes inside the burrito, so that way I don't have to dunk the burrito in anything once I make it. Now these breakfast burritos are really, really high in protein. And that's why I like to make them. And they're also very portable. You can take one to work with you in the car or to school or wherever it is you have to go during the day. You can freeze them. They freeze really well in the freezer. And so they're very good. You know, they stay really well in the refrigerator for like up to 4 days. And I wrap them really well. So, you know, they're very portable. They're very good for meal prep. They're very easy. They're very tasty. They're delicious. And that's why I like having them in the morning. All right, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and saute this. I'm chopping it up with my, you know, why don't I just hold this down like I'm not being a maniac. So I'm just breaking this up a little bit more so that each of the surfaces can go ahead and get browned a little bit. I like for my tofu to cook a little bit, normally, unless I'm marinating it. I guess it's sort of like fish that way, right? Either you marinate it in something, you know, like lemon or whatever that's going to cook it chemically, or you fry it up until it browns a little bit. Or, I mean, some people use silken tofu for like, you know, for like sauces or desserts, or you don't have to cook tofu. It's already fermented, which means it's already been cooked, technically. And it's not like meat. It's not, you know, it's not going to hurt you, per se. Or have some sort of bacteria in it if you don't cook it. But it's much more pleasant when cooked. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the seasonings. And I'll flash across the screen what the seasonings are. And also put that in the description below. I like a really seasoned tofu. I want it to taste like something, as I like to say. So I go pretty happy with the seasonings. Let me get a little water in here. I'm just putting a 1/4 cup of water in here. Kind of moisten it up a little bit. And make sure those seasonings really get in there. Now, some people like to use black salt on their tofu because they like it to have that sulfurous, eggy taste. I'm one of them people who didn't like the taste of eggs, who don't like the taste of eggs when I'm not eating vegan. So I don't use that. But that salt is called Kala Namak. And vegans swear by it in terms of making your tofu scramble taste more like scrambled eggs. So you could use some of that if you want to. It's totally up to you how you season your tofu. And how you season is not going to affect the protein count or the nutritional value that much. So I'm also going to put in some nutritional yeast into here. This is going to increase the protein in the tofu scramble. And it's also going to give it a cheesy type taste. And nutritional yeast is also fortified with vitamin B12. So I'm getting a nice power bang for my buck with that here in the scramble. And it's very tasty. So my eggs will be tasty. They'll have vitamin B12. No chickens will be harmed, right? And I get more protein. All right, so this is, I always fling food out of the pan like a maniac. This food is pretty much done. Let me taste it. All right. So I'm going to combine this with 2 cups of potatoes, divide it into 4, and roll up some, put some sauce, and roll up some breakfast burritos. All right. Okay, let's get this show on the road. I'm going to start out by weighing my bowl and then zeroing it out. Then I'm going to take the food that I just made, which is the tofu scramble. And I'm going to go ahead and put it here into my bowl. I'm also going to measure out 2 cups of the potatoes we made earlier. Put that into the bowl. Next, I'm going to measure out some of the vegan nacho cheese sauce. Just enough to kind of moisten this up. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do 4 tablespoons since we're making 4 of these tortillas. And as usual, I dropped it on the floor. Okay. Now, according to the scale, this weighs 771 grams. So we have to divide 771 grams by 4. I wish it was a flat out 800, that would have been a little easier. But no. All right, so let's take a look at this. 771 divided by 4 equals 192.75. So let's just say 192 or 193. Each one has to be. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my bowl back on here and I'm going to zero this out. I'm going to take my tacos out and peel off some for use. Almost done with this cup. All right. I'm going to take out 192 grams. So that's 123. Oh, I'm going to need 2 spoons. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll them. Oh, wait. 192. I was thinking this looked kind of light. What the heck? Never mind. 151. 188. All right. So now that I've gotten the right measurement, I'm going to roll it like this. And that's how we get it into our rolling paper. Then I'm going to roll it in the parchment. And then I'm going to roll it in the foil. And I do this because the ones that I'm putting in the freezer, they stay fresh in the foil. And when I'm ready to microwave it, I just take off the foil. And you could even stick the parchment in the microwave. Boom. 1 down, 4 to go. Let's do that again. Let's zero it out. I had the spoons in there, so it wasn't zeroing it out. And let's put some more in here. So it's negative 61, negative 104, negative 170, negative 197. So once again, I'm gonna kind of put the food so that it's more in one place. Take up the ends, roll it over, move the ends over, and keep wrapping. And I have a perfectly wrapped breakfast burrito that's high protein and very satiating. What I like to do in the morning is I move them for like 2 minutes or a minute, and then I take them out and I brown them. I crisp them up in a pan real quick, and then I eat them. Very satisfying. Keeps me satisfied all morning long. Between this and my coffee, I'm good to go. And you can put this in your purse or your lunch bag and take it with you to work. After you warm it up, you can take it in the car. It's portable. And it's just a perfect little package for breakfast. All right. One more time. Okay, we need a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. So I'm gonna go ahead and freshly squeeze it. This is a very juicy lemon, I gotta tell you. Oh. No, it's just in those 2/4. All right, so we got our 1/4 cup of lemon juice. One-third of a cup of apple cider vinegar. Two tablespoons or 2.5 tablespoons of white miso paste. I have never used this. Okay, I guess that's a half. All right. Two tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. I get mine from Costco since I use so much of it. All right. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And 4 garlic cloves crushed. So this is my first time making this recipe. I've never made this before. I gotta tell you, it smells interesting. It smells almost, it already smells like a brine. These are some big garlic cloves. I'm wondering if I need 4 of them. Maybe I'll just do 3. Because I'm pretty sure when they were thinking about how many garlic cloves, they weren't thinking about huge ones. Let's do this. So we're going to do 1 tablespoon of dried oregano. That'll do it. That's very Italian, so I'm sure that's going to carry it away. half a teaspoon of onion powder. This is a half teaspoon measure. Half a teaspoon of kosher salt. I don't have kosher salt, so we're just going to use regular salt or Himalayan pink salt. Actually, this is Redmond's real salt. Half a teaspoon of black pepper. And half a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. They said it was optional, but let me just do a quarter because I don't like my things too hot. All right. Now we're supposed to whisk this together to incorporate it. And what I'm really doing is breaking up this miso so it can be more evenly distributed. Now this smells like a brine, an Italian brine at that. It smells very Italian. I think it's the oregano. And it looks like it's really going to season up this tofu. Like, I can really see this working. And I'm missing something. Did I put the nutritional yeast in here? Yeah, I think I did. Okay. So this feta is really going to, this tofu feta, this fake feta, is really going to increase, bump up the protein in this salad. And you can use this feta in any salad, not just this salad, right? So any salad that would normally have feta in it, any Greek-inspired salad, you can definitely use this. Even if it's not a pasta salad, to bump up the protein counts. All right, so what I did was open this up over the sink and shake off the excess liquid. And what I'm going to do now is to slice this into logs for now in preparation for cutting it into cubes. All right, so let's see how this works. So I wanted relatively small cubes to make sure that the brine has the marinade has the ability to soak into a lot of different surfaces. So I made these relatively small cubes. As you can see here. And what I'm going to do is put the tofu into the marinade. And let it marinate for overnight. Because I'm not going to be eating lunch until tomorrow. Now these containers have covers. And I'm not sure which one corresponds to this one, but first I'm going to basically stir this around and make sure that each piece of the tofu gets covered. Gets into the marinade. And I'm being somewhat gentle with it because I don't want the tofu to break up or anything. Although this is pretty firm tofu, I gotta say. All right. So we're gonna let this marinate in the brine. I didn't realize you couldn't see a thing. As you can see, I put the tofu into relatively small cubes in the brine. And I'm covering each piece. And I cut them up into somewhat smaller chunks so that each piece of the tofu has a chance to marinate properly. And what I'm going to do is cover this up and put this in the refrigerator for it to brine overnight. Okay, so now it's time to assemble the salad itself. And what I'm going to do is finish chopping up these olives to go in here because I kind of want to make sure that we get a good bite of olive in every single bite that we get in the salad. And I've allotted 5 olives for each serving. You can add more or less. It's going to mess with your macros, so you know whatever you can afford in terms of calories and stuff, you can do. Also, these things are kind of high in sodium, so because they're brined, but they're so delicious. So I at least wanted to put some taste in there. It is a Greek salad after all. All right. And we also have to chop up the remainder, because I've already put half of it in there, of this English cucumber. I prefer English cucumbers. You can use whatever kind of cucumbers you want. They're pretty much free because they're so low in calories and they're full of water. But they give the salad a nice little crunch, which is good because you want different textures and different tastes, you know, salty, sweet in your salads. And there's a lot of savory in this salad because that's how Greek salads are. They're very savory. All right, and let me just get rid of this for now. I've already put 2 tablespoons of this into our big bowl. So I'm going to put the remaining 2 tablespoons that I've allotted. These are hemp seeds, which are high in omega-3s and other antioxidants and are really good for you. So I've included them in here also to give this salad some crunch, some texture, some protein. Hemp seeds do all of that. They work very well for that. All right, I'll do that more off camera because who has time? Okay, and now I've allotted, I'm gonna put some more of this in here. I've allotted like 2 cups of arugula per salad. And I already have 2 salads in there worth. Just gonna put a little bit more. And I also have some baby kale. And lettuce is so, like, this is pre-washed by the way. Lettuce is so low calorie that you can go nuts on the lettuce. Like nobody's gonna blame you, and it's very nutritious for you. So we have lots of lettuce. By the way, the pasta's on the bottom, which you're gonna see when I mix it. Okay, and now I'm gonna put in a couple more tablespoons of our dressing. I'm using very low calorie balsamic vinaigrette. This is simply by Marzetti, and it has 50 calories per serving, and our serving is 2 tablespoons. So we are good to go. So basically I'm putting 50 calories in for each salad because there's already 4 tablespoons in here. All right, so that's the remaining 4. And oh, I forgot. We also have our, don't forget them, tofu feta. Now, if I were you, I would just add the tofu feta on the day that I'm going to actually eat this salad. So, see here, we have our tofu feta. It's set up very nicely in the refrigerator, and I tasted it. It tastes delicious. It tastes just like feta. it's crumbly like feta too. So that worked out really well. I would add that in here. I'll either put it on the top or add it on the day we're gonna eat it. So now what I'm doing is I'm mixing the salad as best I can. And as you can see here, it smells like heaven. Woo. And the brahmi pasta cooked up al dente. I cooked it for 7 minutes. It's a brahmi penne, and it's made of lupini beans and durum wheat. And it gives the salad, you can see here, cooked up very nicely. It holds its shape, al dente. And I'm trying not to mess with it too much while I mix it. I'm trying to be gentle. But I want to make sure that, you know, every salad gets a little bit of everything. This smells like heaven and it looks really good. All right. Now, let me just taste it and make sure I don't need to have any additional seasonings or anything on here. Then we get a little bit of tomato and penne. Let's see what we got here. And I have some tofu feta already in here because I had started to make the salad and realized I hadn't cooked the pasta. I'm so backwards sometimes. But let me taste this. Mm-hmm. That, my dear, is a salad. That's a darn good salad. All right. Now, I see here where he's sitting. Okay. Now we have to divide this into these 4 containers that I have. So I have here these cute little mason jars. And what I'm going to do is divide up the salad into these mason jars. And I don't have to be perfect because we're going to be eating this over the course of the next 4 days. So as long as, you know, you eat all 4 salads, you will get all the macros that are coming to you. Oh my goodness. As long as you don't spill it on the floor like I just did for the week. I can't believe I did that. It's so annoying. I am such a messy cook. Let me get a bigger spoon. You see, when you're being lazy is when things like that happen. So let me not be lazy, right? And you can see, this is a lot of salad. So you will definitely not be hungry. And you're going to be able to eat this with the bread that we're making, the high protein pita bread. So not only will you have this nice substantial salad, but you have the option of eating it with the high protein pita bread to get even more protein, to make sure you get your full protein, and to make sure that you're full and satiated. No more being hungry at work or eating some bland food because, you know, you're watching your macros or because you're dieting. You're eating darn good food that's high in protein, that's vegan, that's nutritious. And that's the way I like to diet. Like if I'm going to actually, you know, look out for my health, I'm going to make sure the food is good because if it's not good, I'm not going to eat it. I'm going to order in. I'm going to, you know, drive through. And we don't want to do any of that, right? Because you never know what you're getting, how many chemicals they put inside of it. You know, it's usually ultra processed, not good for you, full of butter and salt and fat. And you're not even sure, I'm making a total mess over here. You're not even sure if what you're getting is vegan, right? Sometimes it could be filled with nutrients and things that you don't even know what they put in there. So I'm just trying to even this out a little bit. All right. Okay, now Thank God the counter is clean. I scrubbed it before I did this today, so just to make sure. I always keep my counter clean as possible. All right, so we now have these beautiful little mason jars, not so little, filled to the rim with rum. Remember that commercial? Filled to the rim with salad. So to make sure that thing is on, okay? All right. Let me just quickly clean up this mess, and then we're gonna come back and take a look at our spread. All right. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. Okay, so I'm making my mug cake, and basically the ingredients include 3 tablespoons of vanilla protein powder, and I'm using Gold Standard, Optimum Nutrition's Gold Standard plant protein. It's vegan and it has 150 calories and 24 grams of protein. I'm also using, it says I should use 1 tablespoon of self-raising flour. I don't have that, but I'm using this King Arthur white whole wheat flour, and I'm going to use a little bit extra of the baking powder. And it says I should add 1/3 of a teaspoon of baking powder, but because this is not self-rising, I used half just to make sure. And then I used 100 milliliters of Ripple milk. You can use any kind of vegan milk you want. And 10 chocolate chips. And I actually put it in 11. I was bad. And Enjoy Life morsels is the one I'm using. And now it's going into the microwave for a minute. Okay, my 1 minute is up. Did you see here what it looks like? It's pretty solid, right? And my chocolate is just beginning to melt, but my chips are still there on top. And it says I'm supposed to put a drizzle of peanut butter. Now, we're not using peanut butter because we don't want all that fat in our food. So we're gonna use this PB Fit, which gives us an additional protein. And 2 tablespoons is only 60 calories, but it gives you 8 grams of protein. So what I do is I mix 2 tablespoons with some water, and I'm gonna go ahead and drizzle this on top of my cake. And that's gonna give me 8 grams of additional protein, and it tastes really good too. I make this a little thin, but hey. And now for the taste test. Ooh, this feels like real cake down here. So you can see here, it's pretty cakey. I probably could have cooked it for like 30 seconds more, but it's pretty cakey. And now for the taste test. That is a really good dessert. All right. Now, if you don't want to do one of these, like mug cakes, for your dessert, you could also do a smoothie. You could take the same protein powder, the same PB Fit, throw it in there with a banana, a frozen banana, or some frozen berries into your into your processor or into your blender, and make yourself a smoothie, and you would still get all the protein that you're getting in this dish. So, and with similar macros, because you wouldn't be using flour or chocolate chips or baking powder. So you can go ahead as an option. Both of them will give you 30-something grams of protein. All right, sweet treat. See you later. Okay, so here you have it. You have the 4 salads for each of the 4 days. You have the breakfast burritos. And I'll be honest, I ate one on the first day I made it. I ate another one this morning. So I only have 2 here, but you get 4 breakfast burritos. And you could just make more. If I were you, I would double the recipe and make more and put some in the freezer so you have them. You have your tofu feta there on the bottom. And it's set up very nicely in the container. And then you have 4 days of the chili. And the chili is absolutely delicious. And I didn't put on here the bread that we're making, the pita bread, because I'm gonna be making it fresh every single day. I'll make the dough in advance, keep the dough either in the refrigerator or the freezer. Either or is fine. In the refrigerator is fine. You can do that for a few days and just cook 2 at a time or something, and have them for 2 days. And that's it. So it's a delicious meal prep, and I'm really happy to eat it. I really enjoyed the chili today. I enjoyed tasting this salad. I had a couple of tastes actually, and I enjoyed the heck out of those breakfast burritos. I hope you enjoyed this meal prep. And remember, in the evening, you had the option of making either the mug cake that I'm going to give you the recipe to and show you, that I showed you today, or you have the option of doing a smoothie, as long as you get an additional 30 something grams of protein. And protein powder, can easily do that, along with the PB powder and your favorite fruits or whatever. And that should fit within your macros. Okay, we did it. Let's take a look at the breakdown on Cronometer. All right, so I entered in all the recipes on Cronometer. For breakfast, we have the soy-free tofu breakfast burrito. And you can see here it's 401 calories, 35 grams of protein, and 40 grams of carbs, 7 grams of fat. For lunch, we have the Greek lentil pasta salad, and we have the vegan feta, and that came to 589 calories, 39 grams of protein, 49 grams of carbs, and 21 grams of fat. And then for dinner, we have the easy vegan chili with the high protein pita. I mean, who doesn't want bread with their chili, right? That's 607 calories, 48 grams of protein, 56 grams of carbs, 11 grams of fat. And then for a snack, we have the high protein mug cake. And that's 246 calories, 30 grams of protein, 16 grams of carbs, and 6 grams of fat. That totals up to 1843 calories for the entire thing, broken down into 33% protein, 45% carbs, and 22% fat. We did pretty well, especially since this is a vegan menu. And let's see here. Let me show you the nutritional breakdown. We did pretty well in terms of hitting nutrient targets. And what I'm going to do is in my next video or in my next few videos, I'm going to see if we can even hit higher scores for our nutrition. I think we did pretty well considering I wasn't really focusing on nutrition, but we managed to do it anyway. And I think that is what's special about the vegan diet, because you get vegetables and other nutrients in it. So we hit 75% of all of our targets with just this 1 week. 78% of the vitamins, 88% of the minerals you need for your body, 91% of the electrolytes, 81% of the immune support, 70% of the antioxidants, 82% of the bone health nutrients, and 85% for metabolism support. This menu was fantastic and actually went way over in hitting fiber goals, iron goals, vitamin A goals, vitamin C goals, vitamin B12 goals, folate, and potassium. So it was really good for minerals, fiber, and iron. All right, and now let's break this down even further. As you can see, we're hitting a number of the vitamin goals. So we're getting more than we need for B1, B2, B3, B6, B12, folate. We've gone well over vitamin A, vitamin C, and vitamin K. We're not getting any vitamin D. We need to work on that. And we're not getting any B5. We're getting half of the B5 we need. So there's some areas where we can improve, but we're doing really well on the vitamin front. In terms of lipids, we don't have a lot of fat in this side. So we're getting all the omega-3s that we need, which is fantastic because we want to focus on getting the omega-3s that we need for our health. And we're not getting a whole bunch of omega-6s, which is kind of cool. All right, now let's go down and check out our minerals. We're killing it. We're getting almost all, but 74% of the calcium we need. And there are ways where we can bump that up. Copper, iron, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus were well over the goals. Potassium, selenium, we probably need to add a Brazil nut to make sure we get more selenium. Let me see here. And let me see, where do we get our selenium from? The selenium we got from the lentil pasta salad, from the soy, from the beans, and things of that nature. So not tofu, from the beans basically, because we had chickpeas in our tofu, so that was it. Beans in our burrito, beans everywhere. So basically, we're getting our selenium from that. But we do need to eat a Brazil nut so we can hit our selenium goals of the week. So I suggest you add a Brazil nut to your diet every day. Where it's the diet is high in sodium, and we're gonna have to work on that. Drink lots of water, but it is really high in potassium as well. And I made a concerted effort to balance out the sodium and the potassium so that it wouldn't affect our bodies, because I wouldn't want anybody to suffer from high blood pressure. In terms of protein, we're getting a little bit from each of the types of protein that we need. So you see here, protein, there are different types of protein: cysteine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, blah, blah, blah. So lysine. So we're getting, some from each, but we're not getting more. I think I want to try to hit these goals even more to get like 100%. And a little bit of, they say that leucine is hard to get. Or is it leucine or lysine on a vegan diet? And so we're going to have to, we probably need to include more soy in order to get these two more. So probably in the next iteration of this, I'll probably include more soybeans, maybe beans, peas, lentils, things like that, to make sure we hit these more. All right, so that's where we are. We hit the goals. I went a little bit over in the calories, but that's to be expected. We did really well. 1843 calories in this particular meal prep. Now, if you want to see more meal preps like this, if you want me to do more menus or whatever and more meal preps like this, where I'm aiming for 150 grams of protein and 1,800 calories or so, let me know in the comments below and I'll do that. And also, if you want me to put together a shopping list that you can download or something like that, let me know that as well. And I'm going to put a link to whatever recipes I use that are not mine, or that my recipes were inspired by. And I'm also going to put in the description any recipes that I don't have links for. All right. Thank you so much and take care.